Hello, Mavericks. This is Rob Reinhold. It is May 27th. May is almost done. Cannot believe that. So that'll be wrapping up our 5th month for the year in 2025. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened today. In this session, we're going to talk about the news of the day. Going to go through some of the commodity movements. We're just going to look at everything, score everything from +3 to -3, and that tells us where we want to go hunt for our trades.
All trades and analysis in this video are intended for professional traders only. This content does not constitute financial advice and is for educational purposes. This video is being released after a short delay due to Compliance Department review. Maverick members receive this content immediately as part of their daily trading resources. If you're ready to level up, consider joining Maverick Currencies. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits. You bring the skill, we provide the backing. Let's get into today's market recap and see how the pros are trading the currency markets.
All right, well, let's jump in and start off with the news of the day. And really, this is the news of the weekend, but since the equity markets were closed yesterday, we got a big move on the delay of tariffs on Europe until July 1st. Okay, look, the tariffs have been on and off, and I think this market is now starting to believe that the tariffs are more off than on, where they were scared that they were more on than off. Look, we're going to get this volatility. Next day, we probably get a tweet that says they're back on. Just be ready for this movement. As we talked about it in the currency room this weekend, the market is the market it is in front of us. We just have to accept that this is going to probably continue to happen. And the tariff thing, until it's settled, the market's going to have more volatility than usual. On a surprising note, we did get some better economic data out of the U.S. Durable goods orders were actually very strong, beat expectations, and consumer sentiment roared back to a very nice reading of around 90. This has been one of the first numbers that started to go down when the markets were really tumbling. Consumer sentiment was getting worse and worse and worse. Now we're saying that people aren't as pessimistic as they were. So what does that mean for the currency market? Well, let's talk about what it means. Nothing. Look at these numbers. There is virtual no movement here. The only trade that could be had today for any value was dollar yen. Dollar yen is it. We're going to talk about the yen a little bit. The yen, the Bank of Japan did come out with some news that they are looking to buy less long-term bonds and more short-term bonds, which weakened the yen today. We're going to take a look at the chart on the yen. I think the yen is a decent looking short here, but I got to say, look, there's times in the market where the market is good and there's trends and there's movements, and then there's times where there's consolidation. We've been talking about this over the last week or two about how this is a resting phase. This is consolidation. You want to trade less during consolidation. Or if you're going to trade, you got to be really, really focused on, you've got to get the pairing right. And dollar yen was the right pairing. Maybe if you got something like, Kiwi dollar, maybe that was a decent trade. But as far as a great trade, dollar yen was the only great trade to be had out there on the day in Forex. Over in the rest of the markets, S&P goes up 2%, VT up 1.5%, crypto up, gold and oil down. And over the weekend, I said, look, I think crypto is where the game is right now. Right now, there's not a lot of volatility and movement and trends happening in Forex. And I actually said I like Ethereum and Litecoin. And you can see Ethereum had a nice day today. We'll take a look at that chart as well. Ultimately, nothing has really changed. We've been at a +2 market for the last couple weeks. We remain there. Yes, we'll probably move to a +3 once this new next high is broken. And the big question is, when is that going to happen? Today we got a gap up and ran all day and closed at the high. These candles typically have more in them. And I'm going to just challenge you to go back in charts. Take a look at these gap up and runs. You can see they typically have more upside to them, especially when they happen in uptrends. When they happen in uptrends, these candles typically have more. We do have some resistance right up here. But once we break that, it's kind of like the next resistance is an all-time high, just about 4% away. So we're 4% away from all-time highs. Equities look really bullish here. And we take a look at the economic calendar. We can see we've got a little bit of Aussie Kiwi news, and that's really about it. For the rest of the week, there's not a whole lot until Friday. So if you are trading Aussie Kiwi, especially Kiwi, the RBNZ is going to be reporting tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, looking to cut rates by 25 basis points. If you're not trading Aussie or Kiwi, this is likely not going to affect you at all. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the charts. All right, first up, I'm going to start off with this yen. So this is a 4-hour chart, and we look at velocity on a 4-hour chart. And what we want to see is we want to see a sloping EMA. So this fact that this is sloping tells us right away it's moving. RSI is sloping downwards. So it's telling us we want to be short yen overall, but we have to understand the patterns we get to. So again, swing low, runs up, new swing low. We're probably going to swing up into this area. That's where you want to be. So yen on a bounce, yen on a base. I like it quite a bit. We come over to dollar. Dollar, it has some momentum, not as steep as the yen here on the EMA, but everything we're looking for has some decent momentum, but this is all in the context of a downward trend. So while yes, the dollar looks good in the short term, we're running up against some major levels here. And I don't like dollar long here at all. It's not a good trade of mine. It's not right on the daily chart. The daily chart is on a downtrend. I don't like to be long when the daily chart is against me. So let's move on to Swiss franc. I'm going to go back to a 4-hour chart. You can see Swiss franc is nothing's happening. So that tells me right away, just forget about it. Don't try to think something's going to happen. You're just projecting what you want, what's actually happening. Okay, euro, we've got some, we're running up here into some resistance up on the euro basket. It's really flat. There's nothing here telling me to be long. Pound. All right, pound was the only other currency we had that looked like a good long here. And you can see it still looks okay. Yes, we've had a pullback, which is what we like. We like that. We got a base. We got a breakout. We're getting a pullback. It's just a question of where does this pullback go? How deep does it go? When does it turn around? I do like pound here quite a bit on the long side. So pound is one of the currencies I'm looking to trade. I come here to the CAD. It's pretty flat. Taking a look at this, I'm just not excited about CAD. Not excited too much about Aussie either. Look at everything here as flat. Means it is in consolidation. I don't want to touch it. Kiwi, we've got Kiwi news tonight, so I'm not looking to touch that as well either until that news is out. So basically, there's only a little bit to trade. Here's our velocity scoreboard. I already talked about how dollar, yes, it's showing some nice bounce, but it's all in the context of a downtrend. So dollar is out for me. So there's really only 2 trades here. Pound yen and Ethereum. That is where we're going to be focusing. So let's go ahead and check those 2 charts and see if there's any decent entries here. Let's take a look at Ethereum first. Right, Ethereum is high basing here. I love high bases. Absolutely my favorite pattern by far. You can see we got this long high base. What makes high bases tricky is you get these little false breakouts. You get a false breakout here, you got one here. And by chasing those false breakouts, sometimes you get in and then you have to sit through some pain. And this is a 4-hour chart, so we're talking about a week or 2. I've been talking about if you identify something as a base, trying to nibble here when it gets down to the bottom here. Just grab like a third of a position, a fourth of a position. And I talked about 2,500 as a range here on Ethereum. So at this point, at the top of the range, I don't love it because if you do try to chase that breakout, it might break out and go, but it might break out and fall down. If you do want to chase it on a breakout, I would say take a half position on a breakout and then add to it later. Because if you get a false breakout and you got a half position, you got lots of room to let it come down, and then maybe you grab your second half down here at 2,500. So the next time it gets up there, you've got a nice cost basis. So Ethereum, to me, I don't love it here. I want to take a position here at resistance. And I really don't love these on breakouts where you take all your position at once. So if you say, okay, breakout, I'm going to take third of a position, half position. Okay, That makes sense to me. Or you can just wait for it to go back down to the bottom of the range if it doesn't break out. The other trade I wanted to take a look at was pound yen. Let's take a look at pound yen on a daily chart. All right, so the daily chart on pound yen is so-so. Obviously, we like things when they're trending hard. And you can see that we do have a decent little trend here. Decent little trend channel. We are at the bottom of the trend channel. So I don't hate this trade here. There's a lot of resistance at 196. There's a lot of resistance up here. If this trend is going to hold, it should break through that 196. Then the question is, where's the next target after that? And boy, I can't really see it here on a chart. Looks like 198. So I don't hate this trade. The only thing I hate in this trade is that the rest of the market isn't running. The rest of the market isn't pushing. And I'm really talking about the rest of the Forex market. The rest of the market's actually doing its job, but Forex is just sluggish right now. So I can't look at this and expect it to not be sluggish. If I'm okay with this being a sluggish trade, I can take it. I'm definitely going to have to give this some time, but this looks like a decent entry to me. Wrapping this up, we are in a consolidation phase in Forex. Cryptos are active. I do like cryptos for trading here. I think you can get into some decent positions here. I like Ethereum, Litecoin early in the week. Probably going to switch over to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash later in the week. But for right now, you really have to focus on where the energy is. In the currency world, in the Forex world, dollar yen possibly is still tradable along with pound yen. Other than that, I am just not looking at anything. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye, everyone.